Do you like Russian analog horror? A year ago the question was a good one, but now it's already ridiculous. MSR is no longer accepted to either berate or love. Centrosibirsk fell apart between authors and disappeared in a sea of remakes. Other authors disappeared all at once. And what comes out? Well, maybe it would be better not to come out. But it wasn't always like that. What if I told you that you missed a video that was much better than this one? That it's a beautifully shot movie that surprises with its innovation and story. That it's the best Russian analog horror you haven't seen. In the terrible death of police officers. A year ago, the video had only 11,000 views, and only blogger Snikes briefly brought it to attention. And the views were slightly unusual. Is this really the best Russian horror? Give it a chance. The description of the video says that the cassette fell into the hands of the author from a friend and was filmed somewhere in the 2000s. The owner of the channel knows nothing about the events on the tape. He just digitized it and put it in the public domain. The video starts with an awkward adjustment of the camera by a police officer. Then it's just the chief. Nearby stands his subordinate Volodya, telling him how to set it up. They are in an apartment and conduct an investigative experiment on some case. The defendant is handcuffed to Volodya. It's a young guy talking about how this is the apartment where he lives with his parents, and a friend of his died here. The witnesses are standing nearby. A silent grandfather and a suspiciously nervous old lady. The guy is ordered by his chief to repeat what happened that night. He puts a mannequin in the chair, pretending to be his girlfriend. Talks crudely about the candles and goes to get them out of the locker. As the guy puts the box of candles on the table, the contents of the cabinet fall out by themselves, causing the camera to interfere and a nervous witness to scream. She starts convincing the nonchalant supervisor that the apartment is cursed, and they should not linger here, but he ignores the citizens' fears and returns to the experiment. The guy modestly admits that after the candles he began to read over the girl some spell. Attempts to read it finally pisses off the understandable, and she tearfully asks the chief to let them all out of this apartment. Judging by the barely visible subtitles, it used to be inhabited by an old woman who tried to summon her dead husband. Whatever happened next, though, it drove her crazy and she ended up in a convent where the locals just refused to honor her when she died. Understandably certain that staying in the cursed dwelling is simply no longer an option. The warden once again ignores her, and the candles in the frame are burning further and further near the place of the girl's recent death. The experiment continues. The guy can't read any further, as he can't remember the end of the spell. He needs the book, so the group goes to the bedroom, where he hid it under the mattress. The book is indeed there, but it's lying in a pool of brown blood. The investigators call in forensic backup while they wait for the guy to find instructions in the bloody tome, so they can continue replaying the events of that evening.
Conjuro et confirmo supervos, Gabriel vel Casiel Mahatai, et seguel, Angeli fortes et potentes, et per nomen Adonai, Adonai, Akim, Akim, Kadosh, Kadosh, Ina vel imas dai.
Да, привет, Сереж. Да, ждем вас. Макрат подняли там следы крови. Вот. Нет, ничего не трогали, но не критично. Книгу взяли. Да, сегодня.
Не перезвоню тебе тут. После, наверху. Часто такое происходит?
Я не знаю.
Ладно, Володя, вы тут посидите пока. Потекли не вернуться. Мы должны сегодня доделать тут все.
The patience of the imperturbable chief is beginning to give out. He is constantly distracted by something. The witnesses have run away. The crime scene is a mess. The camera is malfunctioning more and more. The experiment will not end. His wife starts calling him, distracting him from his work. While the chief is talking to her, he does not turn to the bedroom, the mattress in which is already completely covered with blood. Volodya's disappearance is solved quickly. He handcuffs the suspect and goes to the bathroom. The chief scolds him, but the experiment must continue. The guy is again handcuffed to Volodya and tries to awkwardly show how he did artificial respiration to the girl who lost consciousness after the spell. Once again, the chief's work is interrupted, this time by the TV howling in the kitchen. Unplugging it, he accidentally turns off the lights in the entire apartment, leaving Volodya alone with the guy at the scene of the crime. He starts walking through the dark corridors in search of the electric box. He finds it, turns on the light, locks the door and returns to the room. But the guy isn't there anymore. Only a paralyzed and ignoring everything Volodya, who after the chief leaves the room slowly walks to the piano and with unnatural movements breaks his hand against it.
Где он, блядь? Жуков, где он, я тебя спрашиваю?
Ты что, вообще охренел, что ли? Эй, Жуков! Жуков, да что с тобой? Язык проглотил? Шувалов! Шувалов! Ты что, в прятки со мной поиграть решил? Выходи, пиздюк малолетний! Ой, ты что, вообще охренел? Ты что, говоришь? Хрена себе! Не шевели! Да как так, а? Не шевели! Сейчас открою! Блин! Вызывай скорую, меня раненый здесь! Да пиздец творится какой-то, сейчас сам посмотришь! Сейчас ключи найти не могу! Блять, свет потух! Можно автомат включить?
The chief is finally losing his temper. Volodya is lying in the room screaming with an open fracture. The light goes out every now and then, and the arrived reinforcements can't get inside. The keys are lost somewhere. In search of them, he wanders around the dark apartment until he gives up the case and shouts to saw the door, and then returns to the wounded Volodya.
Что вниз? Володь, ты как, нормально? Володя? Жуков? Ты живой? Володь? Твою мать. О боже.
The door will be opened too late. I suggest you watch the video yourself afterwards. I really tried to find some information on it, but nothing. Maxim Kuzichev's channel was obviously created just for this video. It leads nowhere, and a search on his data gave nothing. I tried searching for previews, but found only a few archives of trades with Tush, the Russian analog of Forsh, one of which after the fact came up with a funny creepypasta for the video. Tried to look for actors by cutting out screenshots, editing them and more through image search. Ran the links through Wayback Machines. Nothing. I dug further and found only one of the potential actors, but he didn't respond either. This video is just lying on the internet, isolated from any context, with no promotion. The best Russian analog of horror was just thrown away, and was found completely by accident. But is it really the best? Well, check it out for yourself first to make sure, and I'll just highlight a couple of details that show how good a job has been done. The most obvious is that it's a full-fledged short movie. It has at least 4 actors involved, if one of the characters is the director himself. A costumer has worked, there's a full set of props. You look at the supervisor and really believe this mustachioed man works somewhere in the police force. The VHS effect of the camera is spot on here. It works for immersion, makes the picture blurry and grainy, distracting you from unnecessary details and drawing your attention to the most important. The camera is a separate historical tool, the failures of which show how much worse things are getting. This is despite the fact that the average analog simply hangs the first overlay it comes across on top of the video. Coupled with this is the found footage effect. We won't believe it's true, but 7 years ago, some people did. Because it's filmed well, because the actors work, the costumes are well chosen, and the backstory from the description on the empty channel works too. This video is simply well done. The plot is colorful and self-contained, yet extremely simple. You get creeped out a couple times by scimitars, but that's beside the point. You really tense up as you watch along with the police officer, seeing his situation get worse and worse. Unlike him, I notice a bloodstain in the silence, or this face flashed for a couple frames. This is a good example of a work that even Western authors can't pull off. They try to captivate with complex lore, personal stories, and long plots, while this video takes just by its simplicity of idea and incredible elaboration of the presentation. It gives me confidence that the author is not just an amateur, but a professional. He is a student of the film field, and this video is the filling of his portfolio. That's why he didn't promote it in any way, but just dropped it in the middle of the internet. That was his goal. And that's what a lot of people wanted to see from other authors. You don't have to hire actors or pick out costumes. It's enough to take your craft seriously. Take a simple but workable story and build up the suspense. Make people worry more and more every second. Use analog properties to do that. The camera is also a storytelling tool. Use the found footage effect to do that. That it can work even in context, and now, Lacey proved. This is the first time I really believe these were old games from the Nofties. It's not the budget, popularity, or guest bloggers that matter. If you want to do well, the most important thing is persistence and flavor in presenting the story. Maybe not all is lost yet. Maybe Russian web horror will come back, and in its various manifestations it will have something to surprise us. especially if he will have good examples to follow. Well, that's it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Bye.